What's up guys? Are you looking to get a winch installed on your Yamaha RMAX? Well, SuperATV's got you covered with our Ready-Fit Winch, and today we're going to show you how to get it installed. So let's get right to it. So the first thing we're going to do is remove our front cover here. It goes all the way up underneath the machine. And if you look back here, you'll have 2 screws, another 2 here, and then you'll have another 2 up top. So go ahead and remove the lower 2 ones. We'll go ahead and remove these here. We're just going to remove these last 2 screws here. And then the cover. Next, we're going to take a 17mm and remove this bolt in the factory bumper, as well as the one on this side. Ours has a nut on it because the threads had some issues. Yours will just be strictly an insert. So now we're just going to go ahead and fully remove our front bumper. So once we have our bumper removed, we're going to take our winch and attach it to our factory front bumper. As you can see, it has a pattern here that will fit the SuperATV Black Ops Winch. All right, so now we have the front bumper off the machine, and we have the front portion of the front bumper facing towards us right now. So what we're going to do is take our winch, we're going to lay it up here onto the front bumper. Like we just said previously, the plate is exactly the right pattern for the SuperATV Black Ops winches. So we're going to get it lined up and we're going to go ahead and get our hardware started. The hardware we're going to use is going to be the small M8 hardware with 1 locking washer. We're just going to reach up through the bottom of the plate, get our hardware started into our winch. Once we have all 4 of our bolts started, and we can go ahead and fully tighten them, it'll be a 13mm. You can get a socket in there, tighten them up, wrench, whatever you want to use. You want to make sure that you fully tighten the winch down at this point. So next you want to go ahead and cut the zip tie off of your winch rope, securing your winch rope to your machine. Then reach over on the driver's side of the winch, click your winch into free spool mode, pull out a sufficient amount of winch rope. Take your Fairlead, which is included in the kit. One side will be machined, one side will not. You want to make sure that the machine side is going to the outside, so it'll sit just like this. And then in the hardware bag labeled QWM-Y RMAX-HK, you're going to see that you have 2 Allens as well as 2 nylock nuts. You'll want to grab each of those Allens and then both nylocks. And we're going to attach our Fairlead to the OEM front bumper utilizing this hardware. Get it up there, get it lined up. Get one side started. We'll go through and get the other side started, and then we will fully tighten our Fairlead hardware. So now we're going to grab our winch wires out of our kit. They'll be loomed. One side will have the boots pre-installed on it, one side will not. So what we're going to do is take the red wire and attach it to the red stud, and then the black wire will attach to the black stud on the winch solenoid. So we'll go ahead and remove our hardware off of our solenoid. Be a nut, a flat washer, and a lock washer. We'll go ahead and remove. Let's go ahead and get it hand tight until we get the other connection made. So we'll take our red wire, do the same thing, just connect it to the top stud here, the one with the red dot. Then once you have your hardware started, you'll just go ahead and fully tighten them. You just want to make sure that your wires lay out where they're straight. You don't want them in a bind or anything like that. You want to be able to pull your looming up and they're straight, and then also take your boots and slide them over your studs. Whenever you tighten these, you want to make sure that you get them tight enough to where the wire does not move if you pull on it. If you do move the wire whenever you pull on it, then you still need to tighten it up. Make sure that you use a ratchet. Don't use an impact or anything like that. You just want to get them good and tight. Don't want to break the studs off, obviously. Now we're going to take our boots and pull them down over top of our studs. They can be a little bit of a pain to get on there. Typically what I do is I take a small pair of needle nose, grab a hold of the boot and slide it over, just ensuring that we're not going to tear the boot. So next we're going to do is take our two winch wires that we just attached to the solenoid. We're going to run them up through the back side. So we'll get them up in here just like this, just the time being, just so they're kind of already routed in the position they need to be. And then these two screws on the solenoid should already be loosened. You'll have one here and then one on the opposite side. You're going to need to be able to rotate the solenoid in order to get this winch installed. So typically they come loosened from SuperATV. If they're not, you'll just want to go ahead and loosen these up just a little bit. Then what we're going to do is take our winch and our bumper, everything all together, get it laid up there, and then get a couple bolts started to hold it in position. You want to rotate your winch solenoid straight up. So we had to finagle this bumper around with the winch and the solenoid. You just kind of move everything around until it fits perfectly. Once you've done that, go ahead and get your bottom two bolts in. You just want to loosely start them. We can still move our winch around a little bit because we still have to connect our our winch rocker switch to our solenoid. So that plug is right here. So that's why we're going to leave our bumper loose so we can reach down here and make the connection. If you get the bumper all the way up in here, it kind of limits the amount of room you have to move this plug around. So like I said, just leave it loose for the time being. Then once you have everything wired up, we'll go through and fully tighten all our hardware for our bumper. So now what we're going to do is come up here to our battery, and we are going to go ahead and loosen and remove the bolt, securing your terminals. The closest to the driver's side will be the ground, which means we'll take our black wire and attach it. We'll do this first. And we'll just take our bolt and put it through the eyelet on our terminal. Slide it through the terminal on the factory harness. Once we have our ground wire on, we'll just go ahead and fully tighten it. So our ground wire is fully tightened. Now we're going to repeat the same step for the hot wire or the positive wire. Once we have our wire started. I'm gonna go ahead and fully tighten this connection for the positive side. Whenever you're doing this, make sure that you do not touch the battery terminal and then touch something grounded to the machine, anything that's steel or metal. If you do this, you could potentially shock yourself. Next thing we're gonna do is take a piece of wire and feed it straight through this hole. You don't have to do this, but this is my solution on how to make this a little bit easier to feed the wires through. All right, so we fed a wire through this hole. Now what we're gonna do is attach it to our connection here. So we're just gonna grab a piece of electrical tape, wrap it up, and then we're gonna pull our wire through the hole. All right, now that we've got it taped, we're gonna go back to the front of the machine and pull our wire through. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna remove this screw, this screw, this screw here, this one, and this one. Whenever you do that, you can kind of lift this panel up out of the way just enough to pull your wire the rest of the way through. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and pop this back into position. So it should sit something just like this. Keep pulling. And then sometimes your smaller plug of the two will get hung up. If it does, you can just pull this back off a little bit here. So now we've got our keyed on power source wire. We've got it pulled through. And we're gonna go back inside and get our rocker switch in place. Just pop it right in, just like that. Now we're gonna connect this plug here to the factory plug located right next to the air box. So what we did is we pulled our connector that's attached to the solenoid. We pulled it out here to the front, and then our rocker switch harness, we pulled it out here to the front as well. We're gonna make our connection. So now we've made our connection. We're just gonna thread our nut all the way on. And then we're gonna slide our connection back to where it was. That way it's kind of tucked up out of the way. It's looking good and clean. So now that we've made all of our connections, we're gonna grab our winch stopper and the long Allen hardware that's included in the kit. Just push our hardware through, flip it over on the backside, take one of our nuts. Go ahead and get it started. Then we'll just continue doing this for the rest of our 3 holes. So now we're going to take our winch hook and go ahead and remove the cotter pin as well as the center pin out of it. We'll line up the hook with the winch rope. We'll drop our pin through, just like this. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall our cotter pin. Just like this. Once we have it in there, we'll just bend it away from itself. Just like so. Then we'll take our pull strap. Install it just like that. And then we're going to pull our winch stopper all the way up as far as we can get it and fully tighten our hardware for our stopper. Now what you're going to do is go through, tie up any wiring, reinstall any factory components that you've removed, and make sure that all your hardware is fully tightened. Once you've done that, that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's Ready-Fit Winch on this Yamaha Wolverine RMAX. Be sure to check the description below to pick yours up today. While you're there, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.